Charles Darwin created the idea that only the fittest and most capable will survive and adapt. This principle may have been first established and provided in the context of other living organisms and species. This concept can be evolved into social Darwinism, that the human nature will reward those with strength and power. Those who fail to adapt to change will be crushed by the superior groups with more assertion and might. Taking this into account, it can be applied to the case of imperialism and impacts of foreign influence. Should it be considered socially acceptable for more economically advanced, technologically developed, and militarily established countries to invade and colonize others simply because they can? We'll explore this topic through the key examples of American advancement into the country of Philippines. The Americans, an undoubtedly superior military power compared to that of the Philippines, pursued the annexation of the Philippines for many reasons. The three main reasons were desire for commercial and economic prosperities in Asia, concern regarding the Filipinos' incapability of self governance, and a mixture of fear that another power, such as Germany or Japan, might do so and gain a significant advantage in the East. However, there are numerous Americans who oppose this annexation from an ethical and moral standpoint. They didn't wish to support President William McKinley's administration and bring havoc amongst the whole nation. Not only were the people back home showing concern, but the actual troops who were there fighting voiced their protests. General Reeve, colonel of the 13th Minnesota Regiment, said, "I depreciate this war, the slaughter of our own boys and of the Filipinos, because it seems to me that we are doing something that is contrary to our principles in the past. Certainly, we are doing something that we should have shrunk from not so very long ago." It's clear these troops were unaware or definitely not on board with what they were doing. Another example would be Arthur H. Vickers, sergeant in the 1st Nebraska Regiment, added, "I'm not afraid and am always ready to do my duty. But I would like someone to tell me what we are fighting for." So through these quotes, it is evident that the troops abroad are still yet not on board and not in favor of these military advancements in overseas territories. The Philippine American War first took place from February to November of 1899. It started by Emilio Aguinaldo's failed attempts to fight a conventional war against the better trained, technologically advanced, and military equipped American troops. Numerous fights and torment was brought upon the Filipinos up till the 4th of July 1902, when the war had ended. According to the U.S. Office of the Historian of the United States, it says, "The war was brutal on both sides. U.S. forces at times burned villages, implemented civilian reconcentration policies, and employed torture on suspected guerrillas, while Filipino fighters also tortured, captured soldiers, and terrorized civilians who cooperated with American forces. Many civilians died during the conflict as from results such as cholera, malaria epidemics, food shortages caused by several agricultural catastrophes." So from this, it's clear that the third party of civilians were also greatly impacted by the fighting. Not only the soldiers were. It is clear that the far superior military force was terrorizing these villages and bringing unwanted consequences to those around them, such as the villagers who may have cooperated with them throughout these times of conflicts. As previously just mentioned, to combat the American military success, Aguinaldo ordered his troops to shift to guerrilla warfare, beginning in November of 1899. Their army had traveled from one province capital to another as the American military closely followed and engaged in this battle. However, throughout the war, numerous Filipinos, unwilling to keep on fighting, were seeking American protection in exchange for immediate peace and order, which was supported and offered to them by the United States. When these things were promised to the Filipinos, they immediately abandoned the revolution. And finally, on March 23rd, 1901, Aguinaldo was captured in the mountain regions of Palanan, Isabela, and on April 1st, he took his oath of allegiance to the United States. This shows how people were fighting the revolution against their will and being chased around their country by a force to be reckoned with, and one that was far superior to theirs. A perfect example of the United States taking control of their country and actually forcing them to move from one province to another. How a much more military capable infantry was dominating and controlling the locals through aggression and as the war elapsed, major battles took place which illustrated the unethical behavior of American troops, which consisted of slaughtering the Filipinos simply because they were more powerful and capable of doing so. Even after the war officially ended, this type of behavior was still exhibited in the Philippines. An important event that shines light on this scenario is the Moro Massacre. As quoted in Voices, a tribe of Moros, dark skinned savages, had fortified themselves in the bowl of an extinct crater. General Leonard Wood ordered a surprise. His order was kill or capture the 600. So the battle consisted of Americans firing down the crater with their artilleries, preceding the Moros attacking with only knives and bats. According to the reports, the battle was fought over a day and a half, which led to the complete victory by the Americans. Out of the 540 American troops, only 15 had been killed, compared to the 100% of the Moros. This was expected to be celebrated in newspaper columns. However, not a single one had published an article on this. Only one person with significant stature had even acknowledged this battle. Theodore Roosevelt wrote, "I congratulate you and the officers and men of your command upon the brilliant feat of arms wherein you and they so well upheld the honor of the American flag." However, Clemens, author of this Voices article, states, Roosevelt brought on great pain and dishonor writing these few sentences. This shows how even the President of America at this time thought it was unethical and unjust to carry out these acts of American troops, which at this time had a great imbalance of power between them and the Moros. The Philippine American War is a perfect example of how a country, which is undoubtedly mightier than the other, took advantage of their weakness and followed their selfish pursuits of economic gain. It can firmly be said, just because they're capable of doing something, it doesn't necessarily mean they should be engaging in this behavior. To simply summarize this war, might does not make right.